Welcome to Saturday's Warrior. So this weekend we had all of the conference championship games played, and there were plenty of surprises throwing a wrench into all of the projections made out there, including our own, and really mixing things up, which is really exciting because now we're going to see what the playoff committee truly values. Are they putting in who they think are truly the best teams, or are they taking record into account? And so we already made our projections. Many of them are already wrong. So we're going to redo our projections, what we think we may see tonight from the playoff committee, or at least what we would like to see. And so let's take a look at that. But before we do, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We like to do a lot of BYU Big 12, but really all college football, realignment, all that good stuff. So like and subscribe. And so now let's take a look at our New Year's Six bowl projections. All right, so here are our bowl projections, or at least what we think that the playoff committee should do, because they always say, yes, they want to get the four best teams in, but they also say the regular season has to matter. And if it does, then I don't see how it can play out any differently than this, because Michigan, Washington, and Florida State are all conference champions and went undefeated. Texas did have one loss, but they also beat the SEC champion, Alabama, in the season, who then went on to beat Georgia. So out of those one-loss teams, you'd have to put in Texas, who's the conference champion, right? Another conference champion would be Alabama, but Texas won the head-to-head. So it'll be really interesting. I love that the playoff committee is in this predicament. This is not the scenario I imagine that they wanted to see, because it's going to mean that they have to make some tough calls. And this is exactly why they need to expand the playoff, because there's so many good teams, and the regular season will still matter, because that is going to impact seeding. And that is definitely going to impact a team's chance to make it all the way to the championship game. So I think number one's got to be Michigan. They were ranked currently ahead of Washington, although I could see someone justifying putting Washington, having them jump Michigan for giving them 2 wins over Oregon. Granted, there were 2 close wins. I still feel like if these two teams play 10 times, they might go 5-5. But what matters is Washington won the 2 that they actually did play, and those are 2 big wins, better than Michigan's win over Iowa this weekend. And then Florida State, I don't think they should be penalized for having a third-string quarterback. Now, I don't know the exact status. Someone let me know in the comments if there's any chance that either one of their the first or second-string quarterbacks can come in by the time they play in the semifinal game in the playoff. But even if not, I mean, they beat a good Louisville team last night. Their defense was lights out. And if I'm any team, I'm hesitant to want to go up against a defense like that, regardless of who's in at quarterback. And then Texas, we already talked about them. Yeah, they have, out of these one-loss teams, one of the worst losses against Oklahoma, although it's not a bad loss. And again, they beat the SEC champion, giving them their only loss on the season. And they've also been playing lights out. I mean, they took care of business down the stretch when they needed to. So I think I would put them in. Again, they've got the one loss after those other 3 teams, setting up a Michigan, Texas matchup, and then a Washington and Florida State. Again, I understand the argument for people that think Washington should jump Michigan. I could live with that. Excuse me. And then going to the Cotton Bowl. Now, I think they still take a somewhat local team. Texas is in the playoff in this scenario. I had previously had Texas in the Cotton Bowl. I think now it's Oklahoma. So this is great news for them, because they now get in to a New Year's Six bowl, whereas before I had them sitting out when Texas didn't make the playoff. And so I think, I wasn't sure. Do they put Georgia here? Excuse me. Or Alabama. And I think they may put Alabama, allow Georgia to get the Peach Bowl, and then we get a rematch at the Peach Bowl of Georgia and Oregon from the game opener last season. I think that could be very intriguing. And then Louisville has the tie-in as to represent the ACC at the Orange Bowl, and I have Ohio State going there to play Louisville. It could also be an SEC team, but I like this scenario of Ohio State going there because they get one of the lesser teams out of the New Year's Six bowl matchups, and I just love that for them. Um, you know, not really getting one of these marquee matchups against some of these other teams, which I think are much more intriguing. And then lastly, Penn State, again, kind of the last one in, they got 2 losses and third place in the Big Ten. And so I think they get kind of the last straw there against the group of 5 representative, who I have as Liberty now, since they took care of business in their championship game and Tulane lost. We'll see. It'll be interesting if they actually have SMU jump up ahead of Liberty, arguing perhaps that they had a better win going up against Tulane in their championship game. So it'll be very interesting to see how they handle that. But right now, because Liberty took care of business and they are ranked ahead of SMU, they're currently ranked, I'm going to go ahead and slot them in that group of 5. But I think these would make some great matchups. Definitely be intriguing and makes a lot of sense. So we'll see how the committee actually awards these teams, and if they just try to do sneak in an SEC team somehow. Greg Sankey's saying it's like Sesame Street, that there should be 2 SEC teams in that top 4, that they're not like the others. But you're right, they're not like the others because they don't have an undefeated conference champion. And I think they're also not like the others because I think this year they deserve to be sitting out of that playoff matchup. All right, so those are our New Year's Six bowl projections / wish list of what we think, at least what we'd like to see from the playoff committee. We'll see what they actually do. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to make it into the playoff and what the other NY6 bowl matchups are going to be. Let us know in the comments. Again, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us a lot. Thank you, and as always, go Cougs! Just not in a bowl game.